Hey guys, this is Peter Joudaki for Realtors Talk magazine. Quick intro about myself. I'm a real estate agent in West Vancouver, British Columbia. I've been a realtor for about 15 years. My team and I have sold over $500 million since 2017. On average, we're selling anywhere between 120 to about 150 million a year, and I love what I do. So what inspired me to be a realtor? Interesting question. I was actually at university studying to get my business degree, and I was never really a good student. I always picked and chose when I studied, to say the least. I was always interested in sales. I've done sales my whole life. I started in retail sales, then I went into car sales, and eventually I ended up at a software company doing sales for a CRM company. Basically, we would sell software to martial arts schools as well as fitness facilities in the US and across the world. And it was actually quite a good job. I mean, I was making decent money, and I just never really felt I was making enough to justify the amount of work that I was doing. There was always a cap as to how much I would make, and I always heard about real estate, and my family was involved in real estate to some degree growing up. My dad is a contractor, and he renovated properties, and I got to see that firsthand growing up, and I just figured it was a natural fit. I've always been good with people. I loved sales, and it just felt like a natural progression for me. So going back to university, I was studying to eventually become a commercial realtor. That was kind of the direction I was going. And as mentioned, I wasn't a great student, so I decided to drop out and give residential real estate a shot. I felt it was actually more fitting for me because it was less kind of numbers oriented and more emotionally involved, where you connect with people and you basically make a living hanging out with friends. That's kind of how I looked at it, and that was my initial start to the career path I chose. Yeah, I mean, I've faced a lot of difficulties in the real estate business. I mean, I think there's a misconception out there that it's an easy business to be in, that you get a license and it's a license to print money or something. It's definitely a difficult industry, and I think that anybody getting into it should know that it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of time and dedication to become a successful realtor. Going back to when I first got licensed, I mean, I was 22 years old trying to convince people to sell their biggest assets with me. It was very difficult. What I lacked in experience, I had in personality, and I had in tenaciousness. I mean, I was really hungry. I wanted to be successful. And one of the things that I did early on is I connected with some of the biggest agents in my brokerage. So I would pick up the phone and call, the top 10 guys in the office and say, hey, I'm a new realtor, and I would love to help you. Anything that you're looking to have done, I would do it for you at no cost. I just want to learn. I just want to be around you. I just want to see kind of how a successful agent operates. And that was actually pretty well received. I mean, most guys took the time to meet with me, sit down with me, have a coffee with me, and just kind of discuss what they've done throughout their career to be successful. And that gave me some good insight early on what I needed to do. But I would say that it's not an overnight success by any means. I've worked now 15 years in the business, and I would say my first 5 to 7 years were very difficult. I moved back home with my parents. I was cutting back on expenses. I was trying to live pretty lean to make sure that I had enough money to keep the business operating, because as everybody knows, or maybe you don't know, maybe this is new information to you, it's an expensive business to be in. It's not something that kind of just goes on its own. There's fees that you have to pay to the brokerage, there's advertising fees. You know, you have to have nice clothes, you got to have a car, you got to have gas for that car. You know, there's lots of things involved when it comes to the business. So lots of difficulties, but again, you know, you can overcome these difficulties by working hard and working smart, you know, figuring out ways to get yourself in front of the right people that, you know, maybe don't mind that you're inexperienced and want to work with you because they like you, you know, and that's the key word that I want you to take away from this is like. You know, people want to work with people they like. And that was one thing that I really focused on, is making that human connection with people. You know, forget all the other stuff. Obviously, you know, it's a big part of the business, the knowledge and, you know, the advertising and, you know, the structured work that goes with it. But it's that connection that you make with people that makes that the biggest difference, in my opinion. You know, all the clients I work with today, I consider friends. I literally can call them on a Friday night and say, hey, let's go grab a drink, or hey, you know, why don't we go play a round of golf or something. So, I mean, that's, I think, the best thing about the business. So, I think I've got a unique story when it comes to the first property I sold and going on to the most expensive property I sold. In the 15 years I've been in the business, I've been involved in a lot of different transactions, from land assemblies to luxury estates to, you know, one-bedroom condos to investors and friends. The first transaction I ever did, actually, I'll go back a little bit on this story to when I first got my license, and I was calling all of the top agents in my office to see if I can help them out. One of the guys in the office took a liking to me. We got along really well, and he had a new development that he was launching. It was 44 units in the British Properties, which is it's considered one of the best, kind of most affluent neighborhoods in Vancouver. 44 unit luxury development, and it had townhouses, sub penthouses, and penthouses for sale, and they ranged in price from about 1.8 million up to $6 million. So really a substantial development. And he didn't want to spend the time being there every weekend. You know, he obviously was the main contact for that project, but he wanted to have somebody help out, and somebody that could be there every Saturday and Sunday and sit at the presentation center. I jumped at that opportunity. I thought that was such an epic opportunity for a young guy to be able to get in front of, you know, these buyers, because anybody walking into a presentation center is not going there just to, you know, well, that's not true. A lot of people do go there to just take a look, but for the most part, these are real qualified buyers, or at least buyers in some sense. Maybe it's not for this particular project, but they're looking to buy something, or at least they're thinking about it. So my first 5-6 weeks in the business, I was sitting every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, from I would think 10 a.m. to about 4 p.m. up in this project's presentation center, and I met so many incredible people that I still work with today, believe it or not. But my first sale was a townhouse in that development for $1.8 million. And moving forward from there, I think I did another 6 deals in that project. So what happened is, the realtor that allowed me to help him out was representing the developer, but a lot of these buyers that were coming in were unrepresented. So I would help them, you know, negotiate on their behalf with the developer. So I did 6 deals my first year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I made about $150,000 my first year in the business. And I thought I was rich. I thought I had made it. 22 years old, $150,000. You know, I went out and got a brand new car. I started spending money at bars, and, you know, just doing what every, I think, kid at that age does when they come into that kind of money. And that was a pretty big mistake, you know, and that was one mistake that I learned from pretty harshly, I would say, because, you know, that wasn't sustainable. You know, that was that was an opportunity that was there, but, you know, that wasn't the thing that was going to, you know, propel me into my career. It was just a part of it. So I thought, hey, like, this is it, I've made it. and I spent a lot of that money my first year, and learned my second year the hard way that that's not reality, and you still need to work hard. And so I again, that was my introduction to the industry, which I thought was a pretty cool story. The biggest transaction I've ever done, well, I've been involved in a few really massive landmark deals. Our team back in 2018, I think it was 2018, we were involved in the White Spot assembly deal on Georgia, West Georgia, here in Vancouver. That sale was for $245 million. I wasn't the lead on that deal. A gentleman by the name of Paul Isaacs, who was on our team at the time, was the lead on that deal, but we represented both the sellers and the buyers. The buyers were from China. They were from mainland China, and it was an investment group, like a syndication. And it just kind of came together. We weren't expecting it to come together the way it did, but we were there, we were involved. The amount of stuff that I learned from that transaction is, incredible. I mean, really, to see that from the initial offer, seeing, the lawyer, because we had to get lawyers involved. It's such a complex deal that it wasn't just a standard kind of, contract of purchase and sale. There was lawyers involved on both ends. We got to see financial statements. We had to run pro formas for the buyer. We had to obviously appease the seller with certain documents and information as well. So yeah, it was really interesting. So that was probably the biggest sale that I was involved in. But from there, I mean, we've also been involved in sales of buildings. We had one in West Vancouver here, a 16-unit development for about 11.6 million. We've sold houses as high as 8.1, 8.2 million. So yeah, we've been involved in some pretty epic property sales throughout the years. But those two, I think, are the most unique of the bunch, and obviously of, yeah. Yeah, so in terms of homes, the volume we do is about 3 to 4 a month. Sometimes we sell a lot more, sometimes we sell a little bit less, but for the most part, our properties range kind of in that higher price category. The average price is anywhere between 2 to 4 million. So typically when you get into that price range, at least here in West Vancouver, the volume drops a little bit. My goal this year is to ramp that volume up, and we're trying to focus on widening the spectrum of the properties that we sell. And we're getting into a lot more new developments, starting a new arm of our team where we focus on pre-sales and getting into developments early and trying to have access for our clients early so that they could be first ones in, or at least part of the first wave of buyers that look at a project. Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest goal this year is to ramp up the volume. I mean, I know that when you're getting into the luxury sales, typically the volume is a little bit less because there isn't an abundance of buyers that can afford $6, $7, $8 million houses. But for the most part, we want to get in front of more people, and I think part of the way we're doing that is as I mentioned, the pre-sale project, or the pre-sale arm of our business that we've added. The other part of it is, I mean, we still chase expired listings. We still door knock. I mean, believe it or not, sometimes if I see a property that I think is a great fit for our brand and I think it would be received well in the market, I'll pull over on the side of the road and go knock on the door and just introduce myself. Hey, I'm Peter Joudaki. I'm a realtor in the area. We've sold over $500 million in real estate since 2017. I love your house. I think it's an incredible house, and I think if you ever thought about selling it, it would be received really well. And I like to approach things very naturally. I don't like to go scripted. I don't like to knock on the door and start trying to sell the person. I'm not. Yes, we're salespeople, but before being salespeople, we're people. And people like to talk to other good people. It's just you get this vibe from people and connect with them on a more personal level, and just speak to them candidly. And that's been my that I've been most successful doing it that way. Anytime I go somewhere and I'm overthinking and trying to remember what I wrote down on a script or whatever, it just doesn't work well. It's not natural, and people realize that. I mean, you'd be surprised how quickly people can pick up on things like that. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're going to continue to do our advertising. I mean, we've got a lot of massive media partners globally that we're working with, not only through social media outlets, but also on Google and print. And we're just trying to expand our reach and just make sure that not only do we meet more people that want to buy and sell, but we also have the reach to get our properties that we currently have listed in front of the right buyers. That's the key, right? Transactional. We want to make sure that we're doing more transactions. So in terms of marketing our properties, we're quite unique in a sense that we like to have a specific plan for each home. We don't do a blanketed marketing campaign for all of our properties. Every one of them is specific. So what we'll do is we'll take the home's attributes and we'll think about who it's suitable for. Is it a young couple? Is it an older couple? Is it a young family? Is it from somebody overseas? And then we'll create a plan around that. And sometimes that involves, working with our media partners, whether it's in social media or, some magazines that we work with, both regionally, nationally, globally. So there's lots of different things that we take into account when it comes to marketing our properties. One of the things that we've also been known for in West Vancouver is the quality of our material. We think about every single thing before we publish any of our material. We're really focused on getting the highest quality content out there, from videos to photos. I mean, in terms of photos for our listings, if it's a brand new home, we use an architectural photographer. When it comes to videos for our properties, we make sure that we have luxury cars in the driveway. We make sure that every single pillow looks perfect. The bed is steamed, it's straight. These are the types of pet peeves that I have when, we're shooting. I'm a perfectionist when, I have my product out there, because I think it's, something that represents your brand, and you get known for, how these properties are presented. And that's one thing that we take really seriously. In addition to that, I mean, obviously we do a lot of marketing for ourselves and the team. I'm on bus stops. I'm on the back of buses. Again, we work with different publications, whether that's online or through print. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll think about where my buyers and the people that I work with, my clients, go. So, where do they buy their cars? Where do they shop for clothes? Where do they, when they're traveling, where are they going? And how do I get myself in front of them in those places? So again, it's very strategic what we do in terms of getting our brand and ourselves in front of people. But I think the biggest thing that head and shoulders above all of that really solidifies your place with your clients is continuous contact. I can't say that enough. If you don't reach out to your clients and you're not talking to them regularly, whether it's just a, hey, how's it going? Or, hey, happy birthday. We've got a list of our clients' birthdays in our database, and on everyone's birthday, personal call, we give them a little bottle of wine, maybe a card. And again, this is just stuff that is easy, that it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it solidifies that relationship, and it guarantees that you're going to have retention, right? These are people that are going to come back to you, and they're going to want to work with you because you remember them, you stay in touch with them. You don't let somebody else poach them, because you're always in touch with them, giving them updates, talking to them. But secondly, you become a friend, and everybody wants to work with a friend. So that's my biggest tip, I would say, and one of the biggest things that we implement that has helped me throughout the years. I think the biggest tip I can give you in terms of sales is to be yourself. Nobody wants to work with somebody who doesn't seem genuine or is, scripted. Anytime something feels unnatural, I find that people will back off and back away. The biggest asset you're going to have in any of your dealings with people is knowledge, market knowledge. Let them realize that you are a encyclopedia of information when it comes to the market. You should know how many active listings, how many sold listings there are in the area, what has sold, what similar to what they're looking at or what they're selling has sold, and you could talk about it fluidly. It's not something that you're, shuffling papers to pull up or going on your computer. You should have this information before you meet with people. Knowledge is power. And when you have that knowledge, you speak confidently and you convey your message clearly, and people really, I think, trust somebody who has that kind of presence in a meeting. And I think that's my biggest asset, is that I do a ton of homework before I go meet with people. I never just go and meet and try to wing it. I actually do days, hours of due diligence and try to figure out exactly what that place that they're looking at is worth, or what the place that they're trying to sell is worth. So the biggest takeaway would be is just be yourself, be natural, and know your. In terms of scaling the business, we're quite systems oriented here. We like to create a system for basically all aspects of the business, but for the most part, I find that if you have a good database of all your clients and all your leads, and you have them set up so that you're constantly reaching out. I've got a list of all the buyers that I work with, and I categorize them from the hottest leads to the warm leads to somebody who maybe was an acquaintance that was introduced that is thinking about selling or buying, but hasn't really gotten to that stage yet. But I have different strategies for each of those groups, and the systems that we've put in place helps me as a reminder to constantly reach out to them. And that's the key, is to have consistent contact with these people, emailing them new listings, updates on the market, or just, hello, how are you? I haven't talked to you in a while. Whatever it is, it's just a reminder, and it's in front of you at all times. The other thing that the system does is the current clients that we have, it allows us to keep in touch with them as well, on birthdays. As I mentioned before, we like to send out a bottle of wine, a card, something for them on their birthday. I typically will pick up the phone and give them a call. It's a great way to reconnect with somebody if you haven't talked to them in a few months. The other thing that we do is anniversaries, and people's anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of purchasing a home, we'll typically send them a little gift, a little something as just a thank you for doing business with us, and just a reminder that we're still here. And usually I'll drop something along the lines of anybody that they know that's interested in buying or selling, let them know that we'd love to work with them and help them achieve their real estate goals. The other thing that I would say in terms of scaling is hiring the right people. It's very important that you create a good culture on your team, and the people that you bring in have to fit that culture. I feel it's like a pyramid on any team, and the leader really sets the tone in terms of the culture and the expectations, and anybody coming in on the team should really fit that mold and really understand kind of what it takes to operate the business and to get you guys to that next level. When we do hiring, and we've made mistakes before. I've hired people that unfortunately didn't work out for one reason or another. But what I look for when I'm bringing somebody new onto the team is they're not working for me, they're working with me. And we're working as a team to achieve goals. And our goals are to scale and to get bigger and to do more deals. And as long as we have the same kind of mindset and we're constantly working on getting more business and to better the current business that we have, and to to create a better way to operate the back end, whatever it is that we're working on. I want them to feel like they're on the team and they're bringing something to the table. It's not, you're not just coming here to get a check. You're not just working a 9 to 5. You're part of something, and that something could be as big as you want, or it could be as small as you want. Now, that to me is a real catalyst to getting scale and to scaling up, is the right people, the right culture, and having the right attitude, really. So if you recall the story that I said earlier about when I first started in the business, I was 22 years old, and I was calling a bunch of the top agents in my brokerage to see if I could meet with them and to just get some information from them on how they operated their business, and just to hang around, do errands for them, showings, open houses, whatever I could do for these people, I would do. And I didn't want a penny from them or anything from them. I just wanted to be around them so that I really got an understanding of how a successful agent operates. And I continued that for a long time. I had a guy that, as I mentioned, helped me get into that development, the 44 unit development in the British properties. And he was one guy that I leaned on quite often, actually, on just things that, came up, whether it was a complicated deal that I was a part of and I was nervous. I would call him, and, he would give me, his insights on what to do and how to handle it. And also in terms of just life in general, being a realtor can be complicated, especially in the early years of the business, where maybe you're not making a ton of money, and you're just scraping by. It's nice to have a conversation with somebody who's maybe experienced that and could kind of guide you through how it works, and eventually you end up hopefully becoming successful. But those types of conversations really form the agent that you become. And I think the learning curve, that's one thing that really helps. If I could suggest something to new agents, it's hop on a successful team. If you work with a team early, or if you work under a mentor early, the learning curve is shortened. What you learn in 12 months is what you would have learned on your own in 5 years, maybe, depending on how successful the team is or the agent is that you're working with. But it's a really good strategy for new agents. And I actually wish I did that when I joined. I never actually partnered with this mentor that I'm talking about, but he was always there, and I'm grateful for that. But if I can go back in time and redo it, I would definitely join a team, or actually try to join an agent that needs maybe some help, and that I could actually be a part of the everyday operations. So, over the years, we've obviously had a lot of different crazy things happen, some more lighthearted, a few more difficult and annoying, but one kind of stands out to me. We were looking at multiple offers one evening, and literally the whole entire week we had just a crazy amount of people look at this place. I had probably back-to-back showings every day for 7 days leading up to the date that we were looking at offers. Sometimes if you have a property that is going to get a lot of interest, you'll set the date out a few days from when you list it, so you have people come through and everyone has a chance to see it, and then you'd look at offers on that day. So we set the date out 7 days, and we were looking at offers that evening, and all these showings during the week, like literally I had back-to-back showings every single day. 6 p.m., I don't have any offers. I don't have a single offer. And I'm wondering to myself, what is going on here? This can't be. I mean, we've got all these people that have indicated they're interested and talked about offers, but we don't have anything. And I'm meeting with the client in about 30 minutes. We had already planned to meet at her house, and go over the offers, if any, and I didn't know what to tell her. You know, she was expecting multiple offers the whole time I was telling her there's going to be multiple offers. So as I'm driving to her house, I'm trying to call her on my phone and it's not going through. And I'm wondering to myself, what the heck is going on here? So I look at my phone, 30 minutes to when we're looking at offers, and my phone's not working. There's no cell reception, there's no nothing. So it turned out that I didn't make my last payment on my phone bill, and they cut my phone off. So people were trying to call me. I actually had 5 people that were prepared to write offers, and they've been trying to phone me and get in touch with me for the last few hours, and they haven't been able to. So as soon as I found this out, I mean, obviously I call Fido and get my phone kind of reinstated, and all of a sudden a bunch of calls and texts start rolling in, and you know, the offers start to present themselves. But I mean, what a story. I mean, I get to my client's house and I'm trying to explain to her that you know, I didn't pay my bill and that my phone wasn't working, but we've got offers, and it's just a crazy time. But we ended up receiving those offers. We extended the time that we were accepting them till, I think, 10 p.m. or something like that. And then once we got those offers, we were able to sell it for a crazy price, and it was it all worked out at the end, but very stressful, I have to say. I'm going to leave you guys with some last words of wisdom here. You know, one of the things that, you know, you should really remember is be yourself. I mean, it's very important that, you know, you don't try to be somebody that you're not. Be the authentic you, and I think if you do that, you're going to be successful. One of the things that I always admired about realtors when I was getting into the business was the fact that they had their own schedule, and it seemed like they were always having fun and just hanging out with people for a living. And the truth is, that's what it became, you know, and that's what I do for a living. You know, I hang out with friends and I make a healthy living doing so. And that could be you. And I think that it's possible for anybody to achieve success in the business as long as you're prepared to work hard and to be, you know, work hard and work smart, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's it. This is Peter Joudaki with Realtors Talk Magazine. Thank you so much.